This is why you need to know about Operation Valkyrie, a plot so daring it almost altered the course of World War II. It was a plan born out of desperation and a deep sense of duty to save Germany from the catastrophic path it was on. In the heart of World War II, German military officers, led by Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg, hatched a bold plan to assassinate Adolf Hitler and overthrow the Nazi regime. These officers were not just any soldiers, they were high-ranking officials who had once believed in Hitler's vision, but had become disillusioned by his tyrannical rule and the devastating consequences of his decisions. The plan, codenamed Operation Valkyrie, was set for July 20, 1944. This date was chosen carefully, as it was a time when Hitler would be at his Wolf's Lair headquarters in East Prussia, a location that was both secure and isolated, making it the perfect setting for such a high-stakes operation. Stauffenberg, a seasoned soldier who had grown disillusioned with Hitler after the disastrous Battle of Stalingrad, was the key player. The Battle of Stalingrad had been a turning point for many in the German military, as it highlighted the futility and brutality of Hitler's war strategy. Stauffenberg, who had been severely injured in North Africa, losing an eye, a hand, and 2 fingers on his remaining hand, saw the need for drastic action. Despite severe injuries from combat, he joined the conspiracy, driven by a desire to save Germany from total ruin. The plan was meticulous. Every detail was considered, from the timing of the explosion to the subsequent steps needed to seize control of the government. The conspirators knew that their window of opportunity was narrow and that failure would mean certain death. Stauffenberg would attend a meeting at Hitler's Wolf's Lair in East Prussia. This heavily guarded compound was the nerve center of Hitler's military operations, and gaining access to it was no small feat. Stauffenberg's position as Chief of Staff to the Reserve Army provided him with the necessary clearance to attend the meeting. He carried a briefcase packed with British-made explosives, set to detonate during the meeting. The explosives were carefully chosen for their reliability and destructive power. Stauffenberg had to arm the bomb himself, a task made even more challenging by his injuries. He managed to set the timer for 10 minutes, knowing that this was the critical window in which the explosion had to occur. As he placed the briefcase near Hitler and excused himself, the countdown began. But fate intervened. The room where the meeting was held was not the usual underground bunker but a wooden barrack, which would significantly affect the blast's impact. An officer, unaware of the bomb, moved the briefcase away from Hitler, reducing the impact. This seemingly small action had enormous consequences. The briefcase was moved behind a heavy wooden table leg, which absorbed much of the blast. At 12:42 p.m., the bomb exploded, causing chaos and destruction. The explosion was powerful enough to kill 4 people and injure many others, but the table leg had shielded Hitler from the full force of the blast. 4 people died, but Hitler survived, albeit injured. His survival was a devastating blow to the conspirators, who had pinned all their hopes on his death to trigger the coup. Stauffenberg, believing Hitler was dead, fled to Berlin to initiate the coup. He and his co-conspirators began to implement Operation Valkyrie, which involved mobilizing the Reserve Army to take control of key government buildings, communication centers, and other strategic points. However, when news of Hitler's survival spread, the plot unraveled. The conspirators were thrown into disarray as they realized their plan had failed. The Reserve Army, upon learning that Hitler was still alive, hesitated and eventually refused to follow the orders of the conspirators. Stauffenberg and his fellow conspirators were swiftly arrested and executed. The aftermath was brutal. The Gestapo, Hitler's secret police, launched a massive crackdown on anyone suspected of being involved in the plot. The Gestapo arrested thousands, leading to executions and imprisonments. The purge extended beyond the immediate conspirators to include anyone who had even the slightest connection to the plot. Families were torn apart, and the atmosphere of fear and suspicion grew even more intense. Hitler's paranoia grew, leading to tighter control and harsher reprisals. He used the failed coup as a pretext to eliminate any remaining opposition within the military and the government. The Nazi regime's grip on power became even more ironclad. Operation Valkyrie remains a powerful testament to the courage and desperation of those who dared to challenge tyranny. Despite its failure, the plot demonstrated that there were still individuals within Germany who were willing to risk everything to stop Hitler and his regime. A near miss in history, reminding us how close we came to a different world. The bravery of the conspirators continues to be remembered and honored, serving as a poignant reminder of the high stakes and moral complexities of resistance in the face of overwhelming evil.